Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mike Colleen at MikeColleen.com. Alright, so I heard a message a couple days ago. It was the same message I've heard for years, and I've heard it on YouTube also, like people in the tarot community or the narcissist abuse community saying the same message, and it was like, okay, I logically got it, but I didn't really get it. Like, I understood it, I agreed with it, but it wasn't on an emotional level. In other words, I didn't really understand it on a deep level where it actually sunk in and became a part of me. In other words, I still suffered from the same feelings of feeling bad when the same issue would come up. I'm going to get to all of this real quick. The other reason why this didn't sink in with me, because it really sounded arrogant what people were saying to me, and it sounded like they were just overly complimenting me and trying to, I don't know, just say something that made me feel good. I really thought that's what it was. And the other part of it was I didn't see it from the other side. Because I didn't even, I just thought people were being nice and were complimenting me. So I never thought to go to the other side of the fence. Like, well, what are they talking about? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the words to you, okay? Because I believe a lot of you on this channel have had this same problem, the same challenge, and you got hurt and you felt like there was something wrong with you when it turns out it wasn't you at all. Alright, I'm going to give you an example. Okay, so I used to go to a church in Vacaville, California, Grace Baptist. Pastor Gainey, Dr. Leroy Gainey was the pastor, the head guy. And we started going to the same church about the same week or the same month. So, in fact, we might have even started on the same day. Because when we met, we're like, really? Me too? Because like he had just got hired, right? And so that was kind of our legacy. Every time he introduced me to someone, that would be the number one thing he'd bring up, okay? So at this point, it was 8 years in, and I forget. Okay, so understand, I was highly involved. I would go to church in the early morning. I think it was a 7 a.m. mass or 8 a.m., and then I would go again at the noon. So I think it would start at 11, if I remember right. And I also went to Bible study, and I went to not youth group, but it was young adults dating or something. So I was involved in 4 things every week for years. And Pastor Gainey and I would also meet generally on Monday, not every single Monday, but quite a bit. We would have a meeting. It's like, hey, come on, let's go over a Bible verse, let's talk. So I was very involved with the church. Now here's the interesting thing. Nobody knew me, but I didn't know that until something happened. So, so here's the other thing. So after church noon, we would have this lunch thing right immediately after. We'd have like, people would bring like, lunch and snacks and, stuff like that, food. And then we would go outside, then we'd play basketball. There was like a court out there, etc. And generally about 100, 200 people would do this, would stay. And it was a pretty big crowd actually. And I was always interacting with people, always helping out, and always this and always that. And I don't remember. Oh yeah, I do remember now. Pastor Gainey had, I was talking to someone, saying, "Hey, Mike, come here. So and so said blah blah blah," and so and said, "Well, who's this?" And he goes, "Are you joking? This is Mike Colleen." She goes, "Oh, I've never seen him, never met him." And he's like, "He's here every Sunday. He's, and then this happened again and again and again, like week after week." So he wanted me to show up on Sunday. He goes, "You promised me." I go, "Pastor Gainey, I have not missed a day of church in 8 years. Like, I'll be there." So I showed up and we started the sermon and stuff. And after we did the singing and stuff, he had, he started talking, and someone next to me nudged me and said, "Hey, I think he's talking to you." I'm like, "What?" And I'm looking, and he goes like, "Is Mike Colleen here?" And I'm like, and I raised my hand. He goes, "Is Mike Colleen here?" Now this was a fairly big church, so he was pretty far up front. I was all the way in the back. And so he goes, "If you're here, stand up on the pew." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Just kind of embarrassed, so I stood up on the pew and I kind of waved. He goes, "Oh, okay, good." And he goes, does anyone know who this is? Now, the guy that sat next to me was Ricky. He just started church, but he was in kickboxing with me, so he knew me from that. He goes, Ricky, you don't count because you know him from somewhere else. So he goes, does anyone know this person's name or know who this person is? And everyone's shaking like, no. Like, it was weird because I was always there, and I wasn't like always hiding in the back. I was always walking up to the front, doing this, doing that. I was just very much out there. And he goes, does anyone know what he's famous for right now? Like what he's really, really good at? He's in the newspaper all the time, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, looking like, no, don't know who this guy is. And he goes, he's been going here for 8 years. He's here every Sunday. He goes to the after thing, after lunch. He's always helps out with that. He's always involved with this. He goes to Bible study. He goes to morning church. He goes to this. And he and I have a morning meeting on Mondays, almost every Monday, blah, blah, blah. He goes, no one knows him. He goes, that's insane. He goes, he's been coming here for 8 years. So he said, after church today, I want you to introduce yourselves out front when we have not the banquet, whatever you call it, the lunch. I'm going to call it the lunch thing and the basketball thing. He goes, I want you guys to talk to him, ask him questions, get to know him, blah, 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 blah. He goes, I am ashamed of all of you. Now, here's the thing. Most of the people, I've been going there way more than most of those people. So here's the funny thing. I go out there, I'm hanging out with Pastor Gainey and his wife, talking blah, 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 like as usual. And Pastor Gainey would pull people, hey, this is Mike Colleen, shake his hand, meet him, get to know him. And because the funny thing is, Pastor Gainey loved me to death. He thought I was the greatest thing on the planet. Well, maybe not the greatest thing, but one of the greatest things. And so people would come up and they were just kind of awkward and just like, hi, nice to meet you. And they just like look around, didn't know what to say. It was a really awkward thing. And I'm thinking like, what is the fucking problem? Like, and I knew these people. I mean, I recognized their faces. I'd interacted with them. Some of them I knew their names, et cetera, et cetera. And it was just a really weird, and Pastor King was like, God, that's just so weird. And so this went on a couple Sundays, okay? And people just gave up. And I really started to make an effort to approach people, to talk to people. And Pastor Gainey was there watching this, from a little bit of a distance, not too far away. And he just was shaking his head like he couldn't understand it because I'm a pretty good guy. So this kind of set off a kind of an awareness in me. So before Pastor Gainey noticed this, I didn't even notice. I had no clue. I just would always associate, talk to people, blah, blah, blah. I had no idea that people just basically didn't recognize me, didn't know me. And so there's another church that I went to in Mountain View, and I remember one of the reasons why I left was because for the most part, no one there really associated with me. The pastor did, his wife did, his daughter did, like the immediate family did, and maybe one or two other people, but it was just like, and it was a really weird feeling. Like I just didn't feel like I belonged. So when I was a kid, when we moved to Wisconsin, when I was about 6.5 years old, it was absolutely the same feeling, in fact. But I thought they just didn't like the newcomer kids because they really treated us pretty harshly. But my brother Gary, by the beginning of the second year, he had friends. In fact, he became like the head guy. Like everyone thought he was the coolest, but not me. It was like people just kind of avoided me, kind of ostracized me, basically. But for the most part, I really just thought, well, that's the way they treat the new kids, et cetera, et cetera. So, and I never really reflected back on my brother until years and years later. Like, wait a minute, Gary was like the head of the group, and he was like the top guy. I was like, that's kind of interesting. And in high school, I was co-captain of the football team, wrestling team with the state championships, we were section champions, etc. I was very much, recruited pretty much to help the team win, okay? And it was like during the football games, everyone was tuned in, like everyone wanted me. It was, but the minute the game was over, the minute practice was over, it's like no one had nothing to do with me. So in my 20s, it really started to bother me. And I would even kind of like yell it out and like, yeah, I get it. Like when you want help to win a fucking sport, you want Mike Colleen around. But after that, no one invites me to the parties. Nobody wants to talk to me. Nobody wants to hang out. So I was kind of pissed. So then I get this goddaughter in my 30s, and I'm basically picking her up from high school every day and going to her games and stuff. And I was sitting up in the stands, and never really thought about it. But it was like, every now and then you get a parent that would just give me this fuck you look, this kind of pissy look. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm just sitting here minding my own business. Well, my goddaughter got all excited and happy about it. I'm like, what the hell's going on with you? Like, why do you think that's funny? She goes, no, I don't think it's funny. She goes, it's like it made her feel proud. And she goes, they're jealous of you. I'm like, what are you talking about? Now you gotta understand, this was like an elite high school. It cost $14,000 a semester. All right. And I'm like, and all these parents were just filthy rich, like unbelievably rich. Sean's Penn's daughter was going there at the time, but Carlos Carlos Santana's daughter was there. I mean, we're just talking like this is like the rich and the elite people, right? And I'm like, why would they be jealous of me? I mean, these guys are driving up in $100,000 Mercedes, these big Mercedes-Benz SUVs. Like what? Like, why would they be jealous of me? So she goes, that's just it. You don't need a Mercedes-Benz. You don't need an expensive car to make you confident. They spent their whole life making all that money so they could buy that expensive car, buy that expensive house, and get that trophy wife so they could feel good about themselves. And here you are pulling up in a Honda, getting out of that car like you own the place. Like, I don't walk around like I'm cocky. She goes, no, that's just it. You don't have to act confident. You just are. So she basically said, you're comfortable in your own skin. She goes, Michael, most people aren't comfortable in their own skin. And I'm just kind of looking at her like, really? It's like, oh, okay. Because on the one hand, it was really kind of like people were rude to me. They were mean to me. Pretty much for the most part wouldn't interact with me, didn't have nothing to do with me. And I always thought that there was something wrong with me. So that was my experience going through life. And this was kind of like a new thing. So I called my energy healer and I told her like what my goddaughter said. She's like, well, yeah. She goes, you don't see that? I'm like, what are you talking about? So then there was at that same school, one of the coaches asked me to be an assistant coach. I was like, I don't really know. It's not really my thing. Oh, no. And everyone wanted me to do it. So I showed up to practice one day and sat up in stands with the other parents. Then another day. And then she goes, yeah, the athletic director wants to talk to you. Well, I go in there and goes, who the hell are you? And what are you doing here? And he's just all pissed off. I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? So apparently this same coach had some kind of really weird issue and was very insecure. And so she had told the athletic director, I just started showing up and I took over, and I had never even walked onto the floor. And I was literally sitting there with the parents chatting away. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm not and so he goes, don't you go to any practice unless she personally calls you and invites you. So the phone rings and I showed it to him. Her name was on there. I go, oh, that's the coach right here. And I put on speaker. I'm like, well, she's invited me to practice and says I'm late. So I was going to basically go there to go, hey, what the hell's going on here? So I walk in there. He walks in 2 minutes after. He goes, I told you to get the hell out of here in front of all the kids and the parents. And I'm like, what in the fuck is going on? So, long story short, I went and talked to my energy healer. She goes, Michael, don't you get it? I'm like, what? She goes, Michael, you're a threat. And my goddaughter, that's what she said. She goes, Michael, you're a threat to them. I'm like, how in the hell? I'm not threatening anyone. She goes, no, you're not threatening them, but just your presence is a threat. Now, this was like, what in the hell are you talking about? And the funny thing is, my goddaughter was just really proud and smiling, and I'm like, what? I don't get this. Some guy comes in and yells at me, now you're smiling, and now you're saying I'm a threat to him and to the coach, and you're happy about it. And then my energy healer, same thing, she smiles. She goes, oh, Michael, you're a threat to them. And like this was a good thing. And I'm like, what am I doing to threaten them? She's like, no, you're not threatening them. You're a threat. I'm like, how am I? I didn't get it. Like, you have no idea. I mean, years later, I still didn't get it. But they were happy. Like, oh, and they literally would say, this should make you feel good. And over the years, I would have girlfriends say that when someone was rude or yelled at me. Like, oh, they're jealous of you. I'm like, Jealous of what? I'm just sitting here minding my own business. Like, I don't get it. But I do now. And this is what I was going to say to you. Because this is what people have said to me for years, decades. And I'm going to say it to you right now. You have a very powerful energy. You probably don't even actually recognize it. You probably don't realize this. So okay, let me just say it over again. You have a very powerful energy that makes people feel very insecure about themselves. Now, once again, I was just like, oh, okay, I'm just sitting here minding my own business. What the hell are they talking about? So it's like you have never saw that because you were never on the other side of the fence. So you didn't have that perspective of being insecure. And it's almost like the narcissist finally did this to you. They made you feel insecure. They made you feel unworthy for the first time in your fucking life. And of course, it was all an illusion. So that once you snap out of it, it'll go away. I promise you. So here's the lesson, though. Like, you got to see it from their perspective. Like, oh my God, that really sucks to live life like that. So what most people do when they go through life, everything is fake. They have to do their caffeine because everyone else is doing caffeine. They got to go to Starbucks because everyone else is going to Starbucks. They got to say the right phrases, the right click words. They got to fit in with the click and all this shit because everyone is. It's like everyone has made a decision. We're just going to hide our shit and we're just going to cover it all up. Whereas me, if something came up, I would just cry and I would deal with it and I would talk about it and I would share it with my friends. And I do remember, okay, I'm realizing this as I'm saying it right now. I realized, like, as I look back now, a lot of those people got really insecure when I bring stuff up. Okay, I gotta go, man. And I remember one day, it wasn't one person, it was a couple people over the years saying, Michael, it's kind of like, most people don't do that. They don't just openly talk about their stuff. And I'm like, what? Why? You can say it's naivety, but it's really not. It's just a pure being honest with themselves about their insecurities, about stuff they did wrong, about stuff they suck at. Whereas other people they don't do that. They bury it. So here's the funny thing, and I just burst out laughing. I wish I would have recorded that, but on the one hand, when you start spilling your guts, they're just dying because like, fuck, I could never do that in a million years. And here you are being this honest being, just being open about, like your difficulties in life and where you feel low in and whereas they're like, oh God, I wish I could be like that, but I can't. So in a very naive way, and it's only naive, not because you're a naive person at all. It's really because you're a pure, honest person. And you don't understand the other side of the fence, whereas they also don't understand your side of the fence either, because they've never been this pure, open-hearted person who just lived life and this is the way it is and this is what's going on. Like, oh no, let me get some caffeine, let me smoke some pot, let me let me like lie to myself about everything every second of the hour.
You're not gonna feel a thing.
So the one thing I heard a lot, but I just didn't believe it. I just thought, oh, they're just trying to make me feel better. Because it would hurt my feelings when people would, like, ostracize me or be just rude, mean to me for no fucking reason at all. And so when people, oh, they're jealous of you, I'm like, wait, what? It didn't make any sense to me at all. So I completely wrote it off. And then I just was like, oh, they're just trying to make me feel better. That's literally what I thought. So here I was, then on top of it, being nice to these people that are being rude to me, disrespectful, or, or whatever. And, in the part in the Bible where it says, like, give kindness in return to people who are mean to you. And then it says it's like pouring burning hot coals on top of their head, because it pisses them off even more. So on top of it, not only are you this, person that they're jealous of and that they've been mean and rude to, now you're being nice to them on top of it, and now they're just losing their shit. And they're just like, fuck. So I was probably in my early 30s to mid 30s when I started to go, oh wait a minute, so you're saying on top of it they're getting even more pissed off when I'm turning around being nice to them? They're like, yeah, dude, like they're just like losing their shit because it's like, oh my god. All right, so with my last narcissist, I just remember him constantly saying over and over to me, it's all about being authentic, right? And I'm just kind of looking like, yeah, I guess. I mean, because that word to me, I hate it when people use that word. I'm just like, why? If you're authentic, why would you use that word? Oh, I'm authentic. I'm authentic. That just sounds fake. And so this person kept saying this to me. It's all about being authentic, right? I'm like, yeah, okay, you know. So this had been going on for a couple of weeks, and one day he said it to me like 10 times in a row, and I literally go, what is your fucking deal? And like, why do you keep like, what are you trying to say something indirectly to me? Just fucking be a man and fucking say it. Like, no, it's just about being authentic. I'm like, what are you talking about? What does that mean? So on top of it, here I am sharing a genuine expression of anger, going like, what is the fucking like? And here I am being more authentic, not even, you know, because over the years I heard like, what do you mean I'm being authentic? What does that mean? Like, what do you mean she's being authentic? Like, it was like, I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of, okay, here's how I explain it. It wasn't until the last narcissist when I just looked at him one day and I literally said, man, you are fake as fuck. I literally said, I go, you know, you should go move to Hollywood. And he goes, why? I go, dude, because you're fake as fuck. You'll fit right in over there, buddy. So even at this point, I still didn't understand the whole authenticity thing. Oh, you're authentic. I just thought that was so egotistical and arrogant. To me, the word authentic seemed fake. I understand it now, though. Like, I really get it now. Like, okay, so here's the deal. Your authenticity, and I cringe when I say it. I don't even like to say that damn word. But here's the truth. Because you're such a normal, genuine, healthy person, your authenticity makes them feel really insecure. And this is what happens. When narcissists get around empaths, it reveals their fakeness. And it makes them really insecure because, okay, when they're around their pals, this is what I was trying to say about 5 minutes ago about the group of people thing. Like, everyone is being fake together. It's like they have this unconscious agreement, like, oh, we're all fake. We're all going to be fake here. And it's okay. But when they get around someone like you, that's like, wait, why would you say that? That doesn't make any sense. Because from our perspective, because we're not like that, like, wait, why would you say that I'm authentic? Like, that didn't make any sense. So essentially what it does, it makes them really insecure because it shines a light on who they're really being, and they're not really being themselves. And without doing a damn thing, just by literally being yourself, living your own life, just being you, it causes them a narcissistic injury, and now they're fucking pissed, and now they're going to get revenge. Oh, that scream was perfect. This is the first time I've used this song. I did not set that up. That's the first time I heard that. I just ended up ending it and I replayed it back and that scream was there. That's freaking cool. So another thing that my energy healer said to me and my goddaughter was that, okay, so I'm like, why is the athletic director so mad at me? Like, what the fuck? I've never even seen this guy before. Well, they're like, well, yeah, but I'm sure he's seen you around and he's probably worried that you're going to take his job. I'm like, why would I want to take his job? I don't want to be an athletic director, especially of a private high school. Like, what? It was just like weird. All right, so here's the deal. If you're there sitting alone at home wondering why you don't have any friends, or why you don't have that many friends, or why you're alone, because you're thinking like, I'm a pretty good person, like this doesn't make any sense. Here's the deal. You're actually a really good person, okay? And it's because your presence, your being makes people feel insecure. And here's the thing. You didn't do anything wrong. If anything, it's because you're such a kind, good person and you've been such a good person to these people, it makes them feel insecure about themselves because they're not. Now let's talk about having close friendships, close relationships, people that you interact on a daily basis with, or people that you were really close with. Is all of a sudden someone that you're in a relationship with just leaves after a year, 6 months, and you're like, wait, what's going on here? What's wrong? And they may even be pissed off, but they don't really tell you or whatever. What it is okay, when you're interacting with another human being, you start getting to know each other. So you go out to lunch and they're rude to the waitress, or they don't tip, or who knows, or maybe an insecurity creeps up and you see it and they can see that you saw it. Well, instead of dealing with this, or let's say they have an issue with dealing with other people, they don't communicate well, or they don't share, why they're mad or whatever. And if they did, it would have cleared things up, right? And so instead of, what happens is their stuff begins to surface and you're seeing this. So instead of dealing with it, they're like, fuck this, I'm out of here. In other words, you didn't do anything wrong, okay? It's just that this is life. When you get close to someone, you start getting to know them, you start seeing their stuff, okay? And what happens with them is they're like, well, I can't handle this. I can't deal with this, because here you are, this other person where you just open up, you share your issues, you share where you fucked up, you share where you're insecure, and they're not like that. And it's it's because they've been putting up this facade. They've been putting up this fake act like, I'm this perfect person, I've got my shit together, everything's perfect. And obviously it's not. Now here's the deal though. With you though, you have shit too, and when it comes up, you just say, "Oh, I'm so embarrassed," or "Oh my God," or you start to cry, or whatever. And that, by you just being honest about your stuff, that makes them feel even more insecure, and it flips them out. And God forbid you have any kind of accomplishments. That'll really piss them off. Okay, so let's say you don't have any major accomplishments or anything like that. But the fact that you actually have goals and you've got a strategy, you've got a plan, and you're actually moving towards your goals and you're working your plan and you're taking real action, not bullshit fake talk action. Dude, that'll drive them nuts, because their whole thing is like, oh, I coulda, woulda, I shoulda, oh, I'm on it, man. And they don't do anything to go hang out with their friends, or they watch television for an extra hour, whereas you just read a book for an extra hour. You read a business book, a sales book, a psychology book, a book on your profession, or you're watching a video on how to do a certain technique, or how to, if you're a mechanic, how to fix a car that has this problem. Like, see, the difference between you and them is like you're taking action, moving in the direction that you want to go, is where their whole thing is not taking action and then filling the void with a bunch of bullshit talk of how they woulda, coulda, shoulda, or here's my excuse for the day. Here's the thing, if you're an empath, you can feel the cringe when they're lying. And it's like they're trying to get you to believe their bullshit lies. They're trying, even if you don't look at it that way, because I never did, but as I look back now, I'm like, yeah, they were trying to get me to go with the lie and their bullshit and their excuses, and here's why they can't be successful. And I'm looking at them like, well, you were supposed to read the 10 books in the last year and a half. You haven't even picked up the first book. But here's the thing, you don't actually say that to them. You don't even think that. Now, I do now, because now, like after that last experience, like, oh, fuck that. I'm not falling for this shit anymore, right? So in the past, on top of it, I would feel sorry for them. And that even pissed them off even more. So here you are at home, sitting alone, wondering why you don't have any friends, or any close friends, or any good friends. It's nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with their insecurities. And you're sitting here going, what's wrong with me? Because they yelled at you, they broke up with you, they did mean things, and it was really their way of like protecting their fake world. And it's not just narcissists. I mean, there's a lot of people that do that. It's like they would rather protect their fake world by blaming you, by trying to... And this is what they'll do. They will literally make something up and point the finger at you, like, wait, I never did that. What are you talking about? Or they'll be like, yeah, well, here you are. And they'll even get mad at you because you are a hard worker or because you are motivated. And like, oh, well, you're just this natural. And they'll use the word naturally motivated, like you don't put any effort into it. It was just like you just woke up one day and God put this energy motivation in you. Blah. No, dude. Like a lot of us have had to work our asses off. There's that scream again. Anyways, so then they'll sit there and punish you for your good qualities of being a hard worker, of being motivated, of thinking positive, and they will literally punish. So they'll attack the very thing that they're pissed off because they're jealous because they wish that they would do that. Now here's the thing: it's just a choice. They choose not to. You choose to do. So don't feel lesser about yourself because of others' insecurities. This really has nothing to do with you. This is totally their shit. Alright, now here's another thing that's going to kind of catch you off guard. This is absolutely 100% a sign that you are a chosen one, beyond a shadow of a doubt. And all of this is to prepare you for a bigger purpose. A lot of you guys, you may not realize it, but you're moving in a direction without even realizing it. You are being prepared for a much bigger purpose. And finally, these angels literally will take these people out of your life if you don't. They will take them one way or another. They'll make a move. They'll get a new job. They'll just say, I don't want to be around you no more. These angels are purposely taking these people out of your life because they're no good for you. They are holding you back from your much, much greater purpose, what you're here to do and to learn. Now here's the funny part, or maybe the worst part, is you tend to get abandonment issues because of all of this. Angels taking these people out of your life, people removing themselves out of your life, not because you did anything wrong, but because of how good you are. And what it really comes down to is they really didn't abandon you, they abandoned themselves. Remember when Jack Nicklaus said, "You can't handle the truth"? This is exactly what's going on. These people cannot handle your authenticity, which is the truth. So get out there, kick ass, take names, and make it happen. I'm just kind of being funny there. So anyways, so I'm going to do another video. It's going to kind of wrap this whole thing. It's a different, there's something else that you're doing. It's an old, like, what do they call them, shorts that I made, about a 60-second video. So I'm going to expand on that to help you understand that a little bit better. Alright, click subscribe, click that like button, make a comment, and if you can, go ahead and make a donation. Right there, there's a PayPal link right there below in the description box, or go to my website at mikecolleen.com and buy one of my dating relationship books. Alright, peace.